Hi there. For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Siobhán. Today I would really like to introduce you to Deirdre Salmon. She's from Limerick and she's come a few hours drive today to share her inspirational fertility journey and to give hope to other people. Deirdre came to me with subfertility. She was trying to have her second child. So I'll introduce you to Deirdre, and thank you so much, Deirdre, for being here and for coming all the way to tell your story.
You're welcome, Siobhán. Thank you for having me today. My name is Deirdre. I'm 36 and I'm from Limerick. And in 2012, my first daughter, Ava, was born. And in 2015, when Ava was just over 3, we decided that we wanted to have another baby so that she would have a sibling and she wouldn't be an only child. So we didn't really think twice about it. We just thought that we'd try and that we'd be lucky enough because we were successful the first time, so we never thought twice. So we were trying and we conceived straight away, but unfortunately that ended in a miscarriage very quickly, which was very difficult to deal with because I knew so little about it. It was something that I'd heard about, and I never knew anyone who had had a miscarriage or knew anything about them, and then all of a sudden I was faced with it. And
how did you feel at that time, Deirdre?
I felt like someone I knew for a long time had died. I felt like I was grieving for someone that I had never met. I was completely heartbroken. And I suppose to make it the situation worse is that we didn't tell anybody at the time what we were going through, because I suppose we didn't know how to talk about it or deal with it ourselves. That was probably the main thing, because anytime I spoke about it I started crying. It was emotions that I had never felt before, and they consumed me, I think, and they took over. So we just thought we were unlucky and we said we'd try again. So we were trying for a long time, and I'd say about 6 months, and I went to the GP and she said to me, "Have you been trying for longer than 6 months?" And I said I had. And so she did. I asked her to refer us to a fertility expert because I just didn't want to waste any more time. I thought after the first miscarriage I didn't want to go through anything like that again. I wanted to avoid anything like that to happen to us. So she referred us to a fertility clinic and we met with them and they did our bloods and everything like that seemed to be fine. There was no issues. So they prescribed Clomid and I had to go on a three-month cycle of Clomid. So I went on that, and I didn't like it. I felt very unwell when I was on the Clomid. I had headaches. I was very, very tired, and that was very difficult when I had Ava because she had just started play school and I had to have the energy to keep up with her.
And did you find too, if you don't mind me asking, with the whole journey and with the Clomid, did you find with the timing, if you don't mind me asking that, with the timing, and did it affect your relationship, and did it become a little bit rigid for you?
It did. Well, my husband Liam and we would have a good relationship, and I suppose he didn't know how to deal with the miscarriage because he didn't know how to console me because he knew I was heartbroken. And with the Clomid we knew, you had to have sex around ovulation time, and we were trying to get that right, and we were just doing an act. There was, if you're creating a new life, it should be about love, really. And that's what I believe.
Absolutely, yeah. So I really believe that, yeah.
We had 3 months of that, and it was looking back, it's no surprise it wasn't successful because it was just all about timing, and it was like following a schedule. It wasn't natural at all. So after the 3 months we'd been on Clomid, nothing happened. Nothing. So on the 4th month I got a positive pregnancy test, and I was absolutely over the moon, and I was like, no, that's it. I either thought we were lucky, or I thought that maybe because I had stopped the Clomid, maybe the pressure was off and I just conceived naturally. So I rang the fertility clinic and they told me to come in, and they did a scan, and they scanned me after 6 weeks, and they just said, oh, there's nothing there. It must be, what their words were, it must be a miscarriage. So I was lying on the table after the scan, and I was gutted. I couldn't believe that, I had to go through all the emotions again of the first miscarriage. So that was really difficult.
Yeah.
I just felt trapped at that moment because I didn't know what to do. So, sorry for getting upset. So she told me to go to my own GP and to have my HCG levels checked just to see what they were. And I did, and she rang me then it was on a Friday when I got them done, and the nurse rang me on the Monday. and she told me that my levels were around 18,000, which were, at the time I didn't know, but that's apparently very, very high. So I went to the maternity hospital in Limerick and they scanned me, and they were kind of looking at me so strange, which made me feel even more worried, because I knew there was something wrong, but nobody would tell me. So they had to tell me, they told me I had to stay in, because they didn't know what was going on. And I asked one doctor, I said, can you tell me, what is going on, like, because I'm really worried. And she said, we think it might be an ectopic pregnancy, which I'd never heard of. And because I had had a section on Ava, they thought that maybe the embryo had implanted on the scar tissue. So at that point, up to then, no one in our family knew anything of what we'd been through, and I had to ring my mother to say, look, I'm in the maternity hospital and I need you to collect Ava, and I had to tell her everything. So not only did we have to open up about everything, but we were heartbroken again and totally devastated. So I had to stay in for a week, and thankfully it wasn't an ectopic pregnancy, but I had a D&C after about 6 days. And that was a really difficult time, actually, because that was Ava's birthday, but I was allowed to go home for her birthday, but I had to come back in again, which was just terrible, because she's our only child and we gave so much to her, and then it was her birthday and everything was just so upsetting. So I went back in and I had the D&C, and after that I kind of thought, all that's in the past now, maybe I can start fresh. Anything that was bad tissue or anything that was in there might be gone, and here we go, let's try. So after a month after the D&C, the maternity hospital rang me, and they told me that I wasn't discharged and I needed to come back in straight away. That was what the midwife said on the phone. So I said, why, what was the matter? So she said I had had a partial molar pregnancy, and I didn't know what that was. And at the time we were living across the road from the maternity hospital, so I walked over, and Liam was minding Ava. And I walked over and I met this doctor, and the doctor, she was doing her job, but she was a little bit scary, and she was asking me had I had a chest x-ray, and these things can travel to your lungs, and I was totally panicked. I was nearly gone past the upset of it. I just wanted to know that I was okay, because I was experiencing things that, we wanted to have a baby, and all of a sudden I was asked did I have chest x-rays. So I had to have bloods done every 2 weeks to make sure that my HCG levels were coming back down to 0, which was very stressful, because at the same time we had just bought our house and we were moving into our house, and all the joy for that for me was gone, because I was so worried about the bloods not coming down. And I said to Liam, I can't do it anymore, I can't try for a baby, because so we got over that anyway, and I knew I had to have another baby. I couldn't leave it go, because I felt like I had to do it for Ava, because she deserved, and very morbid, but when me and Liam were older and were gone, we wanted Ava to have a forever friend, So we decided this time that we'd go for IVF, because we would avoid the partial molar.
Yeah, and for anyone that doesn't know what a partial molar is, will I just say that a molar pregnancy is a non-viable embryo that embeds in the lining of the uterus, creating AM mass, but it's never viable. And so that's obviously very, very difficult. And
the reason that we went for the IVF this time is because with IVF, they can pick the sperm to match with the egg, and that was why we did it. So I think it's 2 sperm that got into the egg, and that's why it happened.
Usually it's two sperm in the egg.
So we went down and we got to, we went to an IVF clinic, a different one this time, and they were really good, and they chatted to us, they did all the bloods, everything like that, but I couldn't get over how fast, like we met them in February, and they wanted me to start taking everything in March, because if I didn't do it in March, they said you'll have to wait another 4 weeks. So for me that was a bit overwhelming, but I said, look, okay, here it goes, let's do it. And just to mention, we didn't have the money for it, so we borrowed the money off my mother to do it, because it's so expensive.
And people don't realise that it's the expense, and people often do have to borrow money for IVF.
But we kind of thought, look, if we do IVF, we're kind of guaranteed the results. But I had no idea what was involved or how intense the experience was. So we started it, and I started doing the injections and the whole lot, and it was so intense, and my stomach was bruised every night. I had to find a different spot to inject. It was just horrific, and Liam was working nights at the time, and I'd ring him because he used to do them for me when he was on days. So we did it anyway, and we went down and they collected the follicles, and they rang me to tell me how many embryos that they had, and I think they had gotten something like 5. But I knew by the phone call that they didn't sound very hopeful, and this was on a Friday, and they told me that they'd ring me again on a Monday. So they rang me on the Monday, and it was just basically, just sorry to let you know that none of your embryos have made it.
How did you feel at that time with that phone call?
I still can't really put it into words, because it's just, I was heartbroken.
You're heartbroken.
Yeah, and even to think about it, it's so raw.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know, I don't think unless you've been through it, you know.
No.
It's like grief.
It is,
you know.
It is grief.
Yeah, and no one very close to me has ever died. Like, you know, thankfully I have both my parents, both Liam's parents are alive. But this is the closest thing to grief that I've ever felt. And even thinking about it, every time I tell someone, I'm like this when I tell them, you know. And it's funny because before I've gone from not being able to talk about it to being able to talk about it and pour my heart out, you know, because I feel good after I do it, and I know I'm not the only one now.
And I think that's the big thing. That's, I think, one of the big reasons Deirdre is here. So a lot of people feel very alone with this and feel no one else understands it, no one else is really going through this. And I think that's one of the big reasons is for Deirdre, you know, has come all the way up just to tell this story, and herself and Liam and the kids, just to give hope. Is that one of the reasons?
Absolutely, yeah, because there was one thing that did keep me going, and I did always have hope. You know, I had very bad days, but I always had hope. I thought, look, I was 34, 35 at the time. But I was thinking, you know, I'm young. I've a good few years. You know, there's a lot of chances left for me. So the night that I got the phone call from the IVF clinic, I was going through the internet and I was just looking for. Somebody had mentioned acupuncture to me, and I was kind of, look, IVF is too expensive, and look at the outcome. You know, after 1 month, there's no second chance. It's over, and that's it.
People don't realise, you know, the statistics are unfortunately very small with achieving a pregnancy. Of course, it can be good to give people hope, but unfortunately, the statistics are very, very small.
Yeah, and I learned that afterwards. I suppose really I rushed into it, you know. But I think if I had done my homework on it, I wouldn't have been as, you know, willing to do it as well, from what I know now. But that's fine saying that in hindsight, you know. But that night, anyway, after the phone call, when no embryos had survived, I came across your name, and I was watching your videos on your Facebook page, and I read all your testimonials, and I was just, I don't know, I said to Liam, we have to go. I said, we have to see this lady, like. So Liam said, make an appointment. So I made an appointment with Anne, and she was really helpful because I was trying to figure out what day here, what day, and she was just so nice on the phone, which just sums up the whole experience from the very beginning. It was just different, like, it was totally different. So I met you on the 27th of June last year, and you diagnosed us by our tongue, and you told us a lot of things about ourselves. And I started my herbs and my supplements and everything like that the next day, and you gave me some book recommendations, and I threw myself into it, and I said, if I get no baby out of this, I'm doing this for me. And I think, even thinking back on that thought, I think that was the pivotal moment. That's when it was, I don't know, something had changed inside me, and I started reading a book. And it was a very powerful book, and you even told me to read it twice, and I actually read it 3 times. And I came back, I didn't come back. After my first month on the Chinese herbs, I got my positive pregnancy test. Yeah. My period was late. Surprised. Yeah. And I didn't get excited like I would have if someone told me, you know, you're pregnant. And I was surprised, but I don't know, it was a strange feeling, like I knew it was right. You know, the pressure was gone off me. You said to me, you know, this time is for you. You have to let it be about you. And I did. I took time out for myself, and I changed some things in my life. And I got my positive pregnancy test. And then
just amazing, isn't it? Within 1 month, you know, just changing that, making it about self-love for her, taking the herbs and the supplements, and the two of them just changing the mindset also.
It was, but I needed to hear that from you. You just spoke about love, you know, choose the road of love, self-love, And that was something, you know, I would have been a bit negative before. I would have seen the bad side rather than the good side, whereas I switched it, and I kind of took more time for myself. And it's hard to describe, but it's just, everything just changed very quickly, you know.
And things can change quick. That's one of the messages too, I think we're trying to show. Things can change quick, even if someone has been through a lot of complications, like the failed IVFs, the molar pregnancy, the miscarriage, trying for so many years, and then within 1 month getting pregnant naturally. You know,
that's
and that I'm trying to give the message: things can change quick. The body intelligence can reflect back things quick, you know, and the herbs are very powerful. And but and how was the experience during the pregnancy then?
Oh my God, I changed my diet. I gave up the wheat, sugar and dairy, which I thought in the beginning would be very difficult, but it wasn't, because there's alternatives for everything, healthy alternatives.
The reason I had said that to Deirdre, sorry to interrupt you, is I felt there was inflammation with Deirdre. The tongue was quite coated, so I was trying to keep any inflammation down. And so that's why I said certain inflammatory foods, just to reduce them, to keep the inflammation down.
And also I had very bad eczema as well. And
that's right,
you gave me herbs to help with that. And, you know, between that and the mind, because you were saying to me you're worrying, you're stressed. So I kind of calmed down my mind. And I used to write down in a journal, you know, I used to do notes every day about being grateful for certain things, small things to big things. You know, I'm grateful that it's a sunny day, to I'm grateful for being pregnant, you know, and all those things helped me so much. Simple things, you know. But the journey itself was incredible. It was just, I can't put it into words. For the whole 9 months, it was, I don't think I was ever happier or ever healthier for my pregnancy. And when I had Ava, she was a section, and which was very difficult. The recovery is very difficult, and I really wanted to have a natural birth this time, and I did. And I even remember when I was going for my appointments in the hospital, they were saying, well, look, you can try, but you know, sometimes it's not. They were preparing me for a section in my mind, but I knew that I was going to be able to do it. And even when I was in labour, when I came to you for acupuncture, you used to have a meditation CD on, and I was saying in my mind what was on the CD, you know. It was like, let the light in, and let the light into your body and relax. And I did that when I was in labour, and it was perfect. I had no problems whatsoever.
It was powerful. Deirdre came to me throughout the pregnancy regularly for acupuncture, and we worked on the health of the pregnancy, obviously, and keeping Deirdre's health good, and then the build up to the labour, but I think you found it all positive, didn't you, the whole way?
It was just a joy, like it was amazing. And Ben was born on the 18th of April, and he was perfectly healthy baby boy, and we just absolutely adore him, and his sister Ava adores him as well. I've just met Ben now today, and oh my God, he's such a placid, happy baby. He's very happy.
I really am so heartfelt for Deirdre and Liam and Ava, you know, and that Ava got her little brother, and actually we're going to meet them at the end of this video, and it'll be great, and it's great, you know, so great to see all the family, you know, unit. And
but just to interrupt you, even, you know, I mean, we adore Ava, you know, she's just amazing to us. And even still, like, Ben is nearly 5 months now, but still when I pick him up in the morning, it's just an incredible feeling, like, you know, it's still a little bit surreal that we have our second baby, you know, and it is thanks to you and all that you did for us.
No. Well, I personally don't take any credit.
But you helped us so much, you really did. You put us on the right path.
Put you on the right path. All I try and do is just help people trust themselves and their body intelligence, and is there anything, actually, I'm thinking, because obviously there'll be people and couples watching this video that will feel hopeless and that have been in places where you were. Is there anything you'd like to share with?
I suppose I'd say 2 things, and I wrote them to you in my testimonial. One would be, always have hope. If you don't have hope, you have to have hope, and you have to believe, because you do deserve it, you know. And the second thing, I do firmly believe now, even though that was my rock bottom and my fertility journey was very tough, so much came from it. So much good did come from it, even though it was so difficult. But I'm actually grateful for that experience now, even though it still makes me cry. But you know, I wouldn't have met you, and I wouldn't have kind of changed my mindset about certain things. So I am grateful for the whole journey, from start to finish.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, no, and Deirdre's really passionate about it now, and hoping she can help more.
Yeah. Well, I know how hard it is, and how lonely it is, you know, and how heartbreaking it is to feel, because people don't talk about it. Maybe some people can, but I think a lot of people don't. And that was me. And you're just heartbroken and you're alone, you know. So that was my experience.
Yeah, I can't even think of the word to put on Deirdre. I've like so much respect and so much, you know, that she's expressing all that in her vulnerabilities, and you know that we're there at that time to try and give hope. And to me, that is powerful. That is just powerful, you know. So thank you, because I know this will give so much hope. And we're going to bring in Liam and the two kiddies now as well to introduce them to everybody.